Greetings, dear viewers. This is the CrossMoto channel. In this video, I will tell you about a motorcycle with an extremely unusual power unit. This is the Horex VR6. And at first glance, the engine seems pretty ordinary. Well, maybe the cylinder head is a bit wide, maybe something else looks a little suspicious. But now you'll find out why the Horex VR6 cylinder head has 3 camshafts and why its engine isn't exactly a V-type, but also not an inline engine in the usual sense. Make yourself comfortable, we're going to take a closer look at this machine. So, Horex is one of the oldest motorcycle companies in Germany, founded in 1923. We won't go too deep into the brand's history. Over the years, the company has experienced both rises and falls. In 1956, due to low sales, the company closed down, and the rights to the name and most of the equipment were acquired by Friedel Munch. Yes, the very same man who built the magnificent and fast Munch Mammut. Here's a pop-up link to the video about this machine. From the 1980s until 2007, the rights to the name changed hands from one owner to another, and in fact, no original machines were produced. And then the next owner of the brand decided to play his trump card, and at a press conference on June 15, 2010, presented the Horex VR6 with an engine layout that was completely untypical for motorcycles. The 2 letters and 1 number in the name of this motorcycle are actually a description of its engine. And this is the only motorcycle in the world with a VR6 engine layout. Let's figure out what this kind of engine is. So the VR layout was born back in the 1920s in Italy thanks to the car company Lancia. From the 1920s to the 1970s, Lancia excelled at building V-shaped engines with a small cylinder bank angle, ranging from 10 to 20 degrees and a single cylinder head. But it was Volkswagen who came up with the idea to call the engine VR in the early 1990s. At that time, the Germans decided that their front-wheel drive cars with a transverse engine layout needed a compact and powerful 6-cylinder power unit. And, relying on the rich experience of the Italians, they created the VR6. The name comes from a combination of the German words verkürzt and Reihenmotor, which means shortened inline engine. In such an engine, the cylinders are arranged in a staggered order, and the angle between the 2 rows of cylinders is very small, about 10 to 15 degrees, which allows the use of a single cylinder head. This makes it more compact than a classic V6 or an inline 6. At the same time, the production cost of the VR6 is comparable to that of an inline 6 and cheaper than a V6, since there is only 1 cylinder head. Volkswagen Group really mastered their craft working on this engine. From 1997 to 2006, Volkswagen also produced a 5-cylinder VR5 engine based on the VR6. And you can find this engine in a whole range of German brand vehicles, in some Passats, Passat, T5 Golf, and so on, as well as in some models of Audi, Seat, Porsche, and Ford. And so, at the end of the 2000s, such an engine was installed into a motorcycle frame by the German engineer Clemens Nase. Clemens acquired the rights to the Horex brand in 2007 and immediately began working with his team on a new motorcycle, planning to revive the once legendary German motorcycle company. And he decided to start the revival with a roadster model featuring an unusual engine. On June 15, 2010, the company presented the Horex VR6 prototype. Undoubtedly, the main highlight of the revived Horex is the engine with the so-called inline V configuration. The six-cylinder engine has a displacement of 1,218 cc and boasts decent performance, namely 161 horsepower of maximum power at 8,500 RPM and 138 Newton meters of torque at 7,000 RPM. The two rows of cylinders are arranged at an angle of only 15 degrees, resulting in an exceptionally compact six-cylinder engine. The cylinder head is shared by both rows, just like the three camshafts which rotate in plain bearings. Each cylinder has three valves, two intake and one exhaust. This innovative power unit was designed by Martin Dahl, professor of internal combustion engine design at the Munich University of Applied Sciences, and Rupert Bindel, one of the most extraordinary engine engineers. He is credited with designing a twin-shaft, four-connecting rod two-cylinder diesel engine for the Neander Cruiser and the BRM Supermono, which won the European Racing Championship. This extraordinary power unit is installed in an equally remarkable modular chassis. Two aluminum alloy components are connected to the rest of the tubular structure, which also includes the steering column. The 250-kilogram Horex VR6 could accelerate up to a maximum of 250 kilometers per hour. The prototype shown to the public was equipped with a supercharger to increase its power. However, the production models are not equipped with it, and the power figures I mentioned a minute ago are for the naturally aspirated engine. Nees and his team were diligently refining the motorcycle's design and planning to start mass production. But the start of production kept being pushed back due to various difficulties, first to 2011 and then to 2012. A small company with a staff of 22 employees produced a certain number of Horex motorcycles at the end of 2012 and in 2013. But Clemens Nees was constantly plagued by financial difficulties. In 2014, he filed for bankruptcy. And at this point, the story of this interesting motorcycle could have ended forever. But things turned out differently. At the beginning of 2015, all rights to the motorcycle company Horex were acquired by the Tri3C Carbon Group AG, a corporation engaged in the production of composite materials for various industries. It goes without saying that for several years, there was no news about the Horex motorcycle at all. Tri3C Carbon decided to breathe new life into the motorcycle brand, and as a result, they carried out the previous management's plans to release elegant roadsters with a VR6 engine. In 2016, the updated Horex VR6 was presented at the Intermot Motorcycle Show in Cologne. The original concept remained untouched, but certain elements were slightly refined by the experienced engineers at Tri3C Carbon. The motorcycle became almost 30 kg lighter and gained 7 more horsepower. Thus, in 2016, two Horex models went into production at the same time, the VR6 Classic and the VR6 Cafe Racer. 2 years later, the Germans presented the third modification, the VR6 Row, to the public. Horex motorcycles are still produced in small batches to this day. This is premium equipment equipped with advanced components, Jolene suspension, Brembo brakes, lots of electronics, and so on. Depending on the model and configuration, the price ranges from 30 to 50,000 euros. Overall, the Germans managed to revive the Horex brand. The production can't boast of being large-scale. However, they managed to do something else to create a motorcycle with a very interesting engine, which is definitely not typical for two-wheeled vehicles. With this action, they made a loud statement about themselves in the motorcycle community. We'll see what happens next with Horex. And with that, my story comes to an end. As always, this was the CrossMoto channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to support it with a comment and a repost. Special thanks to everyone who supports the channel financially. See you next time.